There is a gentle voice within you that has never been heard. A quiet, unshaken whisper that existed long before the wound and will remain long after the story. That voice does not call you a victim. That voice does not carry your name like a broken badge. It calls you whole. It calls you light. It calls you free. But somewhere along the path of pain, you accepted a name that was never yours to carry. You were not born a victim. You were not made for labels. You are not the sum of what someone else did to you. You are not your abandonment. You are not your betrayal. You are not your childhood. You are not your trauma. You are not the absence of love. You are the presence of healing. When a soul forgets its origin, it clings to identity. And the loudest identity in this world is often the one wrapped in pain. Because pain is loud, suffering is seductive, and the ego builds thrones from it. But the truth is quieter. The truth never yells. It doesn't need to. It simply waits patiently, silently, like the sun waits behind the clouds, knowing they will pass. There is no power in identifying as the one who was wronged. There is only delay. There is only stagnation. There is only the eternal loop of waiting for something to be made right in a world that cannot undo what has already been done. You cannot wear the label of victim and expect to rise. You cannot hold on to your story of pain and expect your wings to open. You cannot dance with freedom while dragging the heavy chains of a self that never truly belonged to you. The past cannot define you unless you let it. And the story you tell yourself about your life is not the truth. It's just a version of events colored by the emotional ink you dipped your pen in. If that ink is blame, the story will be bitter. If that ink is shame, the story will be heavy. If that ink is love, even the darkest chapter can reveal the light. It's not about denying what happened. It's about refusing to chain yourself to it. It's about recognizing that the wound may be real, but the suffering, the identity built upon it, is optional. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." And in those words lives your emancipation. The moment you stop rehearsing your victimhood is the moment you begin remembering your divinity. You were never here to be broken. You were never here to live in reaction. You were never here to make your pain your personality. You were here to awaken. Awakening begins when you no longer seek justice from the outside world, but instead offer liberation to yourself from within. When you stop pointing to what they did and begin asking yourself, who am I without this pain? Who am I when I release this? You are the sky, not the storm. You are the soul, not the scar. You are the observer of the wound, not the wound itself. You don't need to wear what happened as a costume anymore. You don't need to prove how deeply you've been hurt in order to deserve peace. You already deserve peace. You already deserve joy. You already deserve freedom. The victim label is not a pathway to healing. It is a detour from it. To heal is not to forget, but to stop using what happened as your identity card, to stop introducing yourself to the world through the door of your pain, to stop making others responsible for your peace, and to return home to the infinite sanctuary of the now. The present moment doesn't remember your past. It doesn't carry your labels. It doesn't ask for your history. It only asks for your presence. It only asks that you show up now as the essence behind the name. You are not a title. You are not your past. You are not a victim. You are a being of light with the power to drop every story that never served your expansion. Even the story of why I can't. Even the story of what they did. Even the story of how broken I've become Because truthfully, you've never been broken. You've only believed that your experiences shattered something inside of you. But what is eternal cannot be broken. And your spirit is eternal. Your awareness is whole. Your essence cannot be destroyed by what happens in the temporary realm of form. Yes, the body can bruise. Yes, the mind can ache. But the soul is invincible. And that soul has never labeled you a victim. It only ever whispered, come home. Come home to the silence beneath the chaos. Come home to the awareness that sees through the illusion of me versus them. Come home to the stillness that doesn't need a story to feel worthy. Come home to the power of choosing again. And if you must wear a label, wear one that liberates. Call yourself peace. Call yourself love. Call yourself awakened. You've held on to the wound for long enough. Now hold on to the healing. You've worshipped the pain with your attention. Now worship the freedom that comes when you release it. And understand this, forgiveness is not weakness. It is the boldest declaration that you will no longer be governed by what they did. When you drop the label, you rise. When you drop the label, you breathe again. When you drop the label, you become available to the grace that has always been trying to reach you. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to prove you were right. You don't need to re-explain the story of how you were wronged. You are not here to convince anyone of your pain. You are here to transcend it. You are here to remember the you beneath the story, to remember that you are more than this moment, to remember that you are not defined by how someone else failed to love you. You are not a victim. You are a vessel of the divine. And vessels were never meant to carry poison. Drop it. Drop the bitterness. Drop the blame. Drop the false badge of honor that comes with being the one who was hurt. Your power is not in your history. It is in your presence. And your presence is the only place where love lives. Let this be the moment, not tomorrow, not someday. The moment you release the need to be seen as the one who was harmed. Instead, be the one who healed. Be the one who transcended. Be the one who walked away from the ashes and chose to live again. You owe yourself that. You owe yourself the grace of freedom. You owe yourself the silence that doesn't need to explain. You owe yourself the truth, the deepest truth, that the victim label was never yours. You borrowed it, you wore it, and now you return it. You do not need it anymore. You never did. And when you drop that label, something subtle begins to awaken within you, a stillness that doesn't seek validation, a peace that doesn't require explanation. It is as if your soul finally exhales. The war you've been fighting within yourself to be understood, to be vindicated, to be seen as wounded dissolves, because you no longer need to be wounded to be worthy. You no longer need to be broken to deserve attention. You no longer need to suffer to justify your existence. You begin to see that life was never against you, that the universe was not punishing you, that the pain you experienced was not a judgment, but an invitation to wake up, an invitation to remember who you truly are, beneath the debris of your conditioning, beneath the noise of your mind, beneath the armor of your survival story. Yes, you survived, but now you must go further. You must transcend. You must move from surviving to thriving, from coping to creating, from carrying your pain like a banner to setting it down like a burden that never truly belonged to you, because you were never the experience. You were always the experiencer. You are the awareness, not the event. And once you make that shift, once you realize that you are not the storm, but the sky that holds it, you are free. So many walk through life unconsciously guarding their pain, protecting their victimhood as if it were a treasure. They wear their scars as currency, as reasons for why they can't be whole. But there is no healing in that. There is only repetition. There is only reliving. There is only the slow erosion of the soul under the weight of stories never released. You are allowed to stop repeating the past. You are allowed to drop the need to explain it. You are allowed to outgrow your own narrative. You are allowed to look in the mirror and see someone who is no longer trapped in the old script, someone who has rewritten the story, not with denial, but with divine authorship. You are not dishonoring your past by letting it go. You are honoring your present by finally being in it. Let the past teach you, but never let it define you. Let it refine your character, but never reduce your spirit. Let it awaken compassion, but never become a prison. The ego feeds on comparison and identity, and nothing offers the ego more certainty than the role of the victim, because it grants you a place, a script, a reason for why things are the way they are. But the soul doesn't care for scripts. The soul only seeks freedom. And to be free is to let go of the need for roles. You are not here to live as a character in a play that was written by someone else's mistake. You are here to create your own light, not relive someone else's darkness. You are here to return to the self that existed before the pain, before the roles, before the memories you rehearsed until they became your identity. You are here to embody the truth that your essence is untouched by anything that happened in form. That which is real in you, the spirit, cannot be harmed, cannot be diminished, cannot be broken. Everything else is just story, and stories can be rewritten. The label you wear is not neutral. It is a magnet pulling towards you experiences, beliefs, people, and emotions that reinforce it. And the moment you shift that label, the universe responds. The energy you emit changes. The people you attract shift. The opportunities before you expand. Because energy follows identity. If you carry the frequency of a victim, you will draw to you reasons to stay one. But if you radiate the energy of wholeness, of radical self-responsibility, of present moment awareness, then the very world around you rearranges itself to reflect the truth you've claimed. This is not philosophy, this is vibrational law. Your inner declaration determines your outer reality. So what do you choose? Do you choose to stay bound to the familiar pain of your past? Or do you choose to walk naked into the light of your own, becoming free from the costume, free from the mask, free from the story? There is no liberation in waiting for someone else to fix what they broke. There is no freedom in hoping for an apology that may never come. There is only stagnation. There is only delay. There is only the slow theft of your present moment by the hands of ghosts. Stop waiting. You do not need permission. You do not need justice. You do not need closure. You need only one thing: release. Release of the belief that you are owed something in order to be whole. Release of the identity that says your power is dependent on anyone else's behavior. Release of the ego that clings to pain like a name badge. Release of the lie that your suffering is what makes you important. You are not here to be important through pain. You are here to be free through truth. And truth is simple. You are not your labels. You are not your memories. You are not your victimhood. You are not your defense mechanisms. You are not the reaction of a hurt child living inside an adult body. You are the space in which all of that exists. You are the light that sees it without judgment. You are the awareness that chooses again. Choose again. In every moment you can return. Return to the breath. Return to the stillness. Return to the vast inner sky that watches without attachment, that loves without condition. You are not here to replay the old tapes. You are here to rise. You are here to bloom. You are here to dissolve the illusion of separation from others, from yourself, from the divine. And victimhood is the great illusion of separation. It is the belief that you are powerless, abandoned, hurt beyond repair. It is the ego's greatest trick to convince you that the world is responsible for your inner state. But the soul knows better. The soul does not wait for someone else to make peace possible. The soul is peace. It brings peace to every room it enters. It brings peace to every memory it revisits. It brings peace to every past version of you that still lives in the shadows. You are not the one who suffered, you are the one who survived. But even survival is not your full name. You are the one who awoke. And awakening doesn't mean forgetting the pain. It means remembering who you are in the presence of it. It means knowing you are not limited to the role you played in someone else's drama. It means choosing to live in alignment with the deeper I am, not I am hurt, not I am broken, not I am waiting, but simply I am. That's where your freedom lives, in that sacred space, not in the past, not in the revenge, not in the justice, but in the eternal I am that never needed to defend itself, never needed to wear a label, never needed to be anything other than light. You are light. You are breath. You are the formless, dancing through form. The pain was real, but it was never the end of your story. It was the beginning of your remembering. And now in this moment, right here, you remember. You remember that your identity is not found in what they did. It is found in what you choose to be now. You remember that your past is a teacher, not a prison. That your wounds are doorways, not destinations. That your essence is greater than any experience you've endured. You remember, and in remembering, you are made new. You are reborn, not as someone who never hurt, but as someone who finally refused to carry the hurt as an identity. And in that refusal, you are free. There is a sacred turning point on the path of every soul, a quiet hour when the wound no longer defines you. When the story starts to fall away, not because you forget, but because you no longer need it. It's not an explosion, it's not an announcement, it's not even a dramatic moment of realization. It is a soft shift, a surrender, a decision made in stillness. I am done identifying with pain. You feel it first in your body, a lightness, a breath that goes deeper than usual, like your lungs remembered how to expand without sorrow at the edges. Your shoulders drop, your jaw softens. Your heart, so long guarded by the armor of being wronged, begins to open again. Not because the world suddenly became safe, but because you chose to stop living in defense of what already happened. And in that moment, you realize something profound. You do not need to be hard to be strong. You do not need to be right to be free. You do not need to win the invisible courtroom in your mind where you replay the arguments and prove your pain to a jury that does not exist. You only need to be present, awake, aligned. Your strength is not in how tightly you hold the story, it's in how courageously you let it go. It takes courage to drop your victim label because the world taught you that your pain gave you value, that your trauma gave you depth, that your story was your currency in the marketplace of human connection. But what if your true value was never in what happened to you? What if your true depth was always in your capacity to transcend it? What if connection, real connection, was never built on pain, but on presence? The most magnetic people are not those with the most dramatic stories. They are those who have walked through fire and no longer smell of smoke. They are those who have forgiven not just others, but themselves for believing they were unworthy, for holding on too long, for shrinking to fit inside a label that was never meant to hold their greatness. You do not need to keep explaining your pain in order to feel seen. You do not need to keep revisiting the past in order to honor it. You do not need to keep identifying with the old self in order to prove that you've grown. True transformation is silent. It is internal. It does not seek approval, applause, or acknowledgement. It only seeks truth. And truth is always simple. You are already free. You just have to stop choosing chains Every time you retell the story of how they hurt you, you anchor it deeper into your nervous system, deeper into your identity. But when you stop telling it, when you release the need to be the one who was harmed, a space opens within you. A space large enough for peace, a space still enough for grace, a space holy enough to remember that you are not here to relive, you are here to live. Life is not waiting for you in the courtroom of past grievances. It is waiting in the unoccupied temple of this very moment. Every second you spend arguing for your limitations is a second stolen from your liberation. And you were not born for chains. You were born to be light, to be movement, to be grace in motion. The victim label is not just a word. It's a frequency. And you cannot hold that frequency and expect to rise into joy. You cannot walk forward while dragging the emotional weight of what they didn't give you. You cannot embrace love while clinging to the story of your abandonment. You must choose. You must choose the voice of your soul over the voice of your wounds. You must choose truth over justification, peace over vengeance, healing over familiarity. Because yes, suffering can be familiar. Blame can feel safe, but only because the unknown feels terrifying. And what is the unknown? Freedom. Not the kind of freedom that screams or demands, but the kind that slips into the room like a breeze through an open window, unannounced, subtle, gentle, and entirely transformative. This is the kind of freedom your soul craves. It does not want to keep proving your innocence. It does not want to keep debating your worth. It does not want to stay stuck in cycles of proving, pleasing, punishing, or performing. It only wants one thing: to be light, to be love, to be here fully without the weight of history pressing on your chest. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You don't have to wait until you're healed perfectly. You don't have to wait until someone finally understands. You are allowed to rise now. You are allowed to release now. You are allowed to drop the mask of the victim and step into the truth of the victor, not one who conquered others, but one who conquered their own illusions. This is your true victory. The moment you remembered that what happened does not define who you are. The moment you understood that love was never gone, it was just buried beneath the rubble of your resentment. The moment you stopped asking, why did this happen to me? And started asking, what is the lesson my soul chose this for? And suddenly the whole landscape changes. You are no longer a victim of the story. You are the author. You are no longer the echo of pain. You are the voice of wisdom. You are no longer waiting. You are walking forward, whole, sovereign. You are free. So now, stand at the edge of the old identity. One last look, one last breath, one final whisper to the past. Thank you for the lessons, but I no longer live here. Because you don't. You don't live in the wound. You don't live in the memory. You don't live in the resentment, the waiting, the proving, the needing. You live here in this breath, in this stillness, in this unrepeatable moment of choice. And what a gift that is. To realize that freedom was never something outside of you. It was never locked in another's hands. It was never dependent on their apology, their understanding, their redemption. It was always yours. You see now what was always true. No one else can liberate you. No one else can walk you out of your pain. No one else can remove the label that you've worn like armor. Only you can do that. And the moment you choose to truly, sincerely, without condition, the universe meets you with grace, you don't have to fight your way into freedom. You only have to stop resisting peace. Peace is your nature. It is not earned. It is remembered. And remembering is the final act of letting go. Letting go of the need to make sense of it all. Letting go of the illusion that your past was a mistake. Letting go of the bitterness that became a shield. Letting go of the voice that told you you're not safe without pain. You are safe. You are whole. You are home. Because home was never a place. It was never another person. It was never a condition in the world. It was always the unshaken presence within you, the still point at the center of every storm, the knowing behind your thoughts, the light behind your eyes. Return there now, not as someone broken who needs fixing, but as someone sovereign who remembers their original wholeness. This is the you before the labels. This is the you before the fear. This is the you before the narrative took hold. The you that is pure awareness, pure presence, pure being. And from this place, there is nothing to protect. There is nothing to defend. There is no identity to uphold, only truth, only peace, only love. And love, true love, does not recognize the label of victim. It sees only the beloved. It sees only the light. It sees only the soul that forgot and has now returned. So let the old name fall. Let it slide off your spirit like a garment that no longer fits. Let it return to the earth. Let it dissolve, because you do not need it anymore. You have no need for sympathy. You have no need for defense. You have no need for the story to be told again. You have risen, not because of what happened, but because of what you chose. You chose healing. You chose peace. You chose presence. You chose truth. And that is all that ever mattered. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not what they did. You are not what you lacked. You are not the voice that said you're not enough. You are not the mask you wore to survive. You are the light. You are the awareness. You are the love that was never lost. You are the one who remembered. You are not a victim. You are free. There comes a moment, quiet and subtle, like the wind brushing against the leaves of a tree at twilight, when your soul begins to whisper truths your mind has long refused to hear. In that stillness, a deeper part of you knows, truly knows, that what you've carried, what you've clung to, what you've called your story, has never been your prison. It was your permission to stay in pain, your permission to be right, your permission to keep reliving an identity that has long expired. But now, in this moment of sacred listening, your spirit is inviting you to something higher, not to fix the story, not to explain it, not to relive it once more, but to lay it down, to choose peace over history. The past is not calling for your loyalty. It is not your home, nor is it your identity. It is a trail of smoke that disappears the moment you stop chasing it. It has no power unless you bring it into the present with your thoughts, your attachments, your resistance. You see, suffering is not the result of what happened. It is the result of your refusal to release what happened. And in that resistance, you lose the present, you lose your power, and you lose yourself. We are not here to rehearse our wounds. We are not here to perfect our pain. We are here to awaken to the truth of who we are. Eternal souls wrapped in temporary form, light draped in the costume of memory. And memory, while beautiful when honored, becomes poison when worshipped. When you identify with your history, you become bound by it. You take the pain and make it personal. You say, this is who I am. This is why I cannot change. This is why I do what I do. But who told you that you must keep bleeding just because you were once cut? What if you no longer needed to explain your suffering to justify your existence? What if your healing didn't need an audience or applause or even agreement? What if the highest form of wisdom was not found in understanding the past, but in releasing it? The ego loves history. It feeds on it. It builds altars around your identity and carves the statue of yourself from the stone of yesterday. It wants you to stay loyal to your wound, because the wounded ego is a powerful excuse. It keeps you smaller than your spirit. It tells you, you've been hurt, you've been wronged. They need to understand, they need to apologize, then you will be free. But freedom is not a transaction, it's a surrender. It's not waiting on others, it's waiting on you. You, the soul behind the mask, the awareness behind the story, the light behind the wound. You are not your history. You are not your pain. You are not even your healing. You are the space in which all of it arises, and you are free to choose peace. You see, peace is not earned. It is claimed. It is not found in the retelling of your trauma or the justification of your anger or the analysis of your past. Peace is what enters when your mind becomes quiet enough to stop rehearsing old roles. It's what fills the room when you stop trying to make sense of why it all happened. Peace doesn't wait for your past to make sense, it waits for you to let go. The moment you no longer need your history to explain you is the moment you are free. And perhaps that's the secret most never learn, that the greatest healing doesn't come from understanding, it comes from unburdening. It comes from emptying yourself of the story you keep carrying like sacred scripture, as if it alone defines your worth. But your worth is not born of suffering. It is born of being, of existence, of essence. You were worthy before anything happened. You are worthy now, and nothing from the past, no matter how intense, how unjust, how personal, can take that away, unless you let it. We are trained to believe that closure must come from the outside, that others must apologize, that life must repay us, that justice must be served. But the soul plays by different rules. The soul whispers, let go. Release the need for understanding. Drop the need to be right. Because true peace comes not when the world finally agrees with your story, but when you no longer need it to. This is the deep turning point when your soul, tired of dragging history like a weight, finally decides that peace is the only thing worth protecting. Not pride, not narrative, not revenge. Peace. To choose peace over history is not to deny what happened. It is to deny it power over you. It is to honor it, thank it, and release it. It is to look at the pain and say, you taught me, but you do not own me. It is to open your arms and declare, I am no longer rehearsing a life I've already outgrown. The wake does not drive the boat, and yet so many live backwards, letting the ripple of what was determine the direction of what is. But life, in its infinite mercy, gives you the gift of now a fresh canvas, an unspoken song, a breath untainted by memory. The divine does not hold grudges. It does not keep score. It only flows endlessly, lovingly, unconditionally toward your awakening. And so must you. Let this be the moment when you loosen your grip on the rope of identity. Let this be the hour you set down the story you've been guarding like treasure and realize it was never the truth. It was a doorway, a chapter, a path to lead you to this truth, that you are more than what was done to you. You are more than what you lost. You are more than who hurt you, what you missed, or how long you suffered. You are a divine being, not broken, not behind, not late, not lost, just remembering. There is no healing in history. There is only memory. And memory, unless transmuted, becomes the chain that binds you. You don't need to relive it, you need to release it. You don't need to understand it. You need to rise above it. You don't need to prove anything. You need to come home to the truth that was never wounded to begin with. You are the awareness behind the wound, not the wound itself. You are the sky, not the weather, the soul, not the story. You can stop carrying it now. You can set it down, not because it didn't matter, but because you finally do. You don't need more time to heal. You need less resistance to the healing that has already begun. You are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. Waiting for you to stop arguing with what was and start allowing what is. Waiting for you to stop defining yourself by your detour and realize that nothing was ever off track. The path, the pain, the pause, it all pointed you back to presence. And presence is peace. Presence is the end of the story and the beginning of truth. What would it feel like to wake up tomorrow with no story? To not be the one who was betrayed, the one who failed, the one who always gets hurt, or the one who never gets chosen? What would it feel like to wake up not as a role, but as a soul? Not as a character in your own script, but as the consciousness watching it all unfold. This is the deep liberation. When you realize that every story about you is not you, that even the most painful identity is just that, an identity, a mask, a learned role played on the stage of time, but who you are, in truth, is timeless. And timelessness cannot be hurt, cannot be defined, cannot be contained by a past that was never yours to keep. You are the one who notices the storm, not the storm itself. You are the stillness beneath every wave of emotion. You are the breath between the thoughts that say, I am broken. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every ending you feared was actually a beginning in disguise. Every loss was a sacred excavation. Life was not trying to hurt you, it was trying to hollow you, to make space, to soften the shell of ego so your spirit could finally shine through. And all along, you were mistaking the breaking for punishment. But the breaking was the invitation. The very thing that shattered you was the thing that cracked the illusion, that let the light get in and let the truth get out. Now is the time to stop repeating. Stop explaining. Stop negotiating your worth with the past. Stop living as if your history has more truth than your soul. Your story has no power unless you breathe life into it. You've already survived it. Now let it dissolve. Let it drift like fog in the morning sun. You don't need to let go of the past because there is nothing to hold on to. You're clenching smoke and calling it identity. You're holding ash and calling it memory. And it hurts not because it's still happening, it hurts because you won't stop reliving it in your mind. The prison was never real. Only your belief in the bars made them feel solid. And yet, here you are, breath moving, heart beating, spirit stirring alive, not despite the past, but because you were never meant to live there. Life has been whispering again and again, come back, come home, come inward. The story is loud, but peace is patient. And peace will wait until you're ready to stop trying to be right and start being free. Imagine a bird refusing to fly because it remembers a cage. That's what we do when we let our history define our direction. But history cannot touch the present unless you let it. The soul does not remember wounds. It remembers wholeness. It remembers light. It remembers the truth that cannot be taken, cannot be dimmed, cannot be undone. You are not here to relive what you were meant to outgrow. You are here to transform, to alchemize, to take the raw material of what happened and turn it into wisdom, into compassion, into presence, but never into identity. The moment you decide to stop defining yourself by what happened, you begin to remember what has always been true, that you are the awareness behind the events, not the events themselves, that your being is untouched by time, that your value is not found in validation or vindication or even victory, but in the quiet peace of knowing you belong to something higher than history. You belong to the now, and the now needs no story. Peace lives where the story ends. Peace lives where the mind surrenders and the soul breathes. Peace is the permission you give yourself to stop defending your pain. It is the soft inner light that rises the moment you say, I am done trying to win an old war. Because every time you replay what hurt you, you reopen the wound. Every time you explain why you are the way you are, you reinforce the lie that your history made you. It didn't. You made you. Your choices, your awakenings, your willingness to rise. You are not who they said you were. You are not what they did to you. You are not even what you did in reaction to them. You are the quiet power behind it all. You are the one who chose to get back up. You are the one who chose to seek truth. You are the one who chose peace or is choosing it now. And that choice is everything. Because in that choice, you become the creator again. You reclaim your voice, not to shout your story louder, but to sing your soul song, a song of silence, of release, of deep grounding joy. The joy that comes not from fixing the past, but from no longer needing to. You see, healing is not about becoming someone new. It's about letting go of everything that is not truly you. The layers of narrative, the burden of roles, the voice that says you must suffer in order to be seen. That voice is not yours. That voice is ego dressed in spiritual language. But truth does not shout. Truth doesn't demand attention. Truth simply is. And when you are still enough to hear it, you remember you've always been whole. There is no need to explain your healing, no need to prove your growth, no need to convince anyone of your peace. Peace is its own proof. It radiates, it softens, it frees. And if they never understand you, so what? If they never apologize, so be it. If the world never acknowledges what you went through, let it pass. Your peace does not depend on their permission. Your peace depends on your release. You can drop it now. Let the story fall away like autumn leaves from a tree that no longer needs to carry the past into the winter. The tree does not mourn the falling leaf. It celebrates the clearing. So too must you. Celebrate what you no longer carry. Celebrate what no longer owns you. Celebrate the sacred emptiness that makes space for the soul to speak again. You are not empty because you let go. You are empty so that truth can finally fill you. And the truth is this: you have always been enough, always been whole, always been free. You just forgot. And now you remember. The world around you is not waiting for your explanation, it's waiting for your embodiment. Life responds not to your wounds, but to your willingness. And the universe does not heal through repetition, it heals through surrender. When you stop telling the story, you stop bleeding from it. When you stop rehearsing the reasons, you begin to remember the truth beneath them all, that you were never the one in need of fixing. You were the one remembering wholeness beneath the noise. You've spent years building scaffolding around your pain with thoughts, beliefs, conditions, and justifications, and none of it made you freer. It only made your prison more elaborate. It only made your history feel more personal, but it was never personal. Nothing that has ever happened to you has touched the essence of who you are. It could not, because what you are cannot be harmed. It can only be hidden behind layers of noise, behind identity, behind a history that you now realize you do not need. The soul does not care who was right. The soul only asks, can you be free? Can you choose liberation over explanation? Can you be the one who lets it go, not because it was okay, but because you are? Can you walk away from the ruins of your past, not as a survivor, but as a witness of grace? Forgiveness, true forgiveness, is not something you give to another. It is the gift you give to your own nervous system. It is the moment you decide, I will no longer let this experience dictate the energy of my life. It is the soft miracle that happens when your spirit speaks louder than your memory. It is not a reward for the past. It is an offering to the present. And understand this, your spiritual power lies not in how much you know, but in how much you release. It lies not in the complexity of your story, but in the simplicity of your surrender. The more you let go, the lighter you become. The more you choose peace, the clearer you see. The ego holds, the spirit flows, and every time you flow, you return home. You see, this whole life is not about collecting experiences. It is about unlearning the ones that told you you were less than divine. It's about stripping away every voice that told you your peace must be earned. You were never here to perform for healing. You are here to realize that healing is not something you chase, it's something you allow. It's something that rises when you stop believing that you are your history. Because you are not. You are the sky before the clouds. You are the stillness before the storm. You are the I am that echoes before any name, any story, any label was placed upon you. You are not your timeline. You are not your wounds. You are not the echoes of trauma or the shadows of childhood. You are now, and now is always unburdened. Now is always free. Every time you remember this, every time you breathe and choose stillness over reaction, truth over identity, forgiveness over explanation, you come closer to yourself. Not the self you invented to survive, but the self that existed before survival was ever needed. The self that smiles without reason, the self that watches without judgment, the self that loves without memory. This is the sacred undoing, the unraveling of everything you were taught to believe in order to reveal what you have always been. And so I invite you right here, right now, to become light, to become so free within that no thought, no history, no opinion can touch your peace. Let your heart be the sanctuary. It was always meant to be not a courtroom for replaying old verdicts, but a temple for silence, for softness, for serenity. There is no version of peace that requires you to keep justifying your suffering. There is no version of freedom that includes dragging your past into every conversation. And there is no version of awakening that keeps your identity anchored to the pain you've already outgrown. You've done enough. You've proven enough. You've explained enough. Now be still. Let it go. Watch what happens when you stop being loyal to your history and start being loyal to your peace. Watch how life reorganizes itself around your release. Watch how your body heals when you no longer rehearse the harm. Watch how your energy shifts when you no longer argue for your limitations. It was never about the other person. It was never about the apology that never came. It was about you finally deciding that your inner landscape deserves the quiet that only comes when you choose peace over proof. Peace over story. Peace over pride. Peace over performance. You are not here to fix your history. You are here to awaken from it. You are here to remember that the soul's language is not made of memory, but of presence. Not of pain, but of possibility. And not of who you were, but of what you are becoming. You don't need to wait another year. You don't need another therapist, another book, another retreat. You don't need more time. You just need one courageous breath where you decide that your life begins not with your pain, but with your choice to stop carrying it. The mind will protest. The ego will scream. But let it, because beneath the noise, beneath the pull to go back into the old story, your soul is waiting in silence, in stillness, in truth, for you to remember that you've always had the power to choose a new path. Not by force, not by fixing, but by releasing, by becoming empty enough to be filled with light again. Let that be your offering. Let that be your rebirth. Not with fireworks, not with fanfare, but with a quiet, holy yes. A yes to peace, a yes to freedom, a yes to now. What a relief it is to no longer perform for your worth. What a liberation to no longer need the world to echo back what your heart has always known, that you are not broken, not behind, not bound. You are not the sum of your reactions. You are not a title carved from trauma. You are presence itself, wearing the brief mask of a life story that no longer fits. There is a sacred courage in releasing the familiar pain, because even suffering can become comfortable when it becomes identity. Even misery can feel like home when you've lived in it long enough. And yet, there comes a day, quiet, sacred, unremarkable to the world, when your soul whispers, I can't do this anymore. Not because it's too hard, but because it's no longer true. You stop blaming, you stop defending, you stop needing to be understood, And in that moment, you are reborn. You begin to see that no one ever truly held you back except your agreement with their vision of you. You thought they had power. You thought their words mattered, but it was your belief that gave them meaning. It was your attachment to the story that gave it roots. And now you are remembering stories only live when they are fed. Stop feeding the old tale and it starves. Stop rehearsing the pain and it fades. You do not heal by digging deeper into the narrative. You heal by rising above it. You heal when you stop believing that your history is holy. You heal when you stop needing your pain to prove your strength. You heal when you stop defining your identity by what hurts you and start defining it by what frees you. And freedom, real freedom, is always simple. It's the moment you walk out of your own cage and realize the door was never locked. You were never waiting on time to pass. You were waiting on permission, and that permission was always yours to give. So give it now. Give yourself the permission to be happy without justification, to feel peace without resolving every detail, to be free without having to explain to the world why you deserve it. You deserve it because you are, not because of what you've survived, not because of what you've lost, not because of what you've learned. You deserve it because you are life itself. You are awareness, unbothered, undamaged, eternal. The stories came later, and they will go when you no longer worship them. Let go of the altar you built around your suffering. Let go of the temple you built around being misunderstood. You were never meant to dwell in the echo of pain. You were meant to rise radiant and soft in the silence beyond it. And what is peace, truly, but the end of your allegiance to pain? What is peace but the moment you say, I choose stillness, even if I was right? What is peace but choosing not to carry the weight of being wounded into every interaction, every relationship, every dream? History wants you to repeat it. Peace invites you to release it. And your soul, ageless, formless, infinite, is asking you now, which will you choose? Because you do choose. Every day, with every thought, with every emotional rehearsal of the past, with every silent agreement you make, with a version of you that no longer fits. Choose again. Choose peace. Choose it not once, but over and over when you're triggered, when you're tired, when you're tempted to explain, to justify, to defend. Choose it when the old story knocks and says, let me back in. Choose it when your ego says, they need to know how much you've suffered. Choose it when your memory tries to seduce you with the false comfort of being right. Choose peace over being right. Choose presence over performance. Choose becoming over blaming. This is not weakness. This is spiritual strength, because it takes no power to hold a grudge. It takes no wisdom to replay a wound. It takes no vision to argue for your past. But it takes divine maturity to say, I will not carry this any longer. I will not breathe life into this pain again. I will not shrink myself to stay inside a story that dims my soul. And make no mistake, peace is not the absence of conflict, but the absence of identification. Peace is what remains when you stop believing the thoughts that keep you in chains. Peace is your natural state. It is not found in retreat centers or mantras or books, though they may guide you there. Peace is found in the stillness between thoughts, in the soft exhale after you've let go, in the presence that remains when identity falls away. You are not becoming peaceful, you are returning to what you always were. And in this return, there is no drama, no grand event, no validation from the world. There is only stillness. There is only the quiet recognition that you are finally free. You no longer need to win an argument that no longer exists. You no longer need to carry the history of a self that was never truly you. You no longer need to live your life through the lens of what happened, because what happened was only one moment in time, and you are timeless. You are awareness, and awareness cannot be harmed. You are presence, and presence needs no defense. You are love, and love does not argue. So release the need to narrate your healing. Release the temptation to dress your pain in spiritual robes. Release the idea that your story must be redeemed to have meaning. It already had meaning, but the meaning was never in the pain. The meaning was in your awakening, in your surrender, in the moment you laid it all down and said, enough. I am done carrying this weight. I am done explaining my sadness. I am done performing my pain. I choose peace now. I choose silence over noise. I choose truth over story. I choose soul over ego. I choose now over history, because history can only offer memory, but now offers everything. Now offers God. Now offers healing. Now offers freedom. Now offers life. And so here you are, no longer at war with the moment, no longer demanding that the past apologize for your pain, no longer shrinking yourself to fit inside the container of a story that never deserved to hold your soul. You are standing in the doorway of now. You are at the threshold of what cannot be explained but can only be felt, the sacred space where the mind bows, the ego dissolves, and what remains is something wordless, eternal, and unmistakably you. Not the you the world named, not the you shaped by roles or reasons, not the you that needed fixing, proving, surviving, but the you that watches, the you that never leaves, the you that is always, always at peace. Do you feel it? Not in thought, but in the stillness behind the thought, in the quiet between the next breath and the last, in the moment where you finally stop reaching, stop grasping, stop trying to make the story make sense, and simply let it be. This is not resignation, it is resurrection. You are not giving up, you are giving in. Not to the past, but to the present. To the sacred unfolding of a life, no longer filtered through wounds. To the power of what happens when you stop narrating and start being. You are a divine being. Not becoming, not trying, simply being. And being in its purest form carries no story. It carries presence, it carries truth, it carries peace. What a miracle to no longer identify with the one who was wounded, but with the one who witnessed the wound and chose to wake up instead of stay asleep. What a gift to no longer keep your suffering alive, just so others will know it was real. You know, it was real. That's enough. You lived it, and now you are done reliving it. Because truth does not ask for proof. Healing does not need permission. And peace does not wait. It has been here all along, waiting for you to get tired enough of history to finally choose heaven. Not the heaven in the sky, but the heaven in your breath, in your stillness, in your presence. Do you understand now? Peace is not something you earn by fixing your past. Peace is something you remember when you no longer need to fix anything. And in that remembering, you drop the need to control, to rewrite, to validate. You allow what was to rest. You allow what is to rise. You walk through life no longer reacting, no longer defending, no longer defining your moments by yesterday's shadow. You become quiet, not because you have no words, but because you no longer need them. You become soft, not because you are weak, but because you are free. You become light, not because you chased it, but because you stopped carrying what dimmed it. This is the fruit of choosing peace over history. It's not a loud victory. It's not a spiritual badge. It's not something the world may even recognize. It is a quiet transformation, an invisible miracle, a sacred shift within the heart, where you go from narrating your life to embodying it, where you stop saying, this is who I became because of what happened, and start living as, this is who I've always been beyond what happened. You are not your scars. You are the light that shines through them. You are not your past. You are the sky that held it. You are not your healing. You are the spaciousness that allowed it. And you do not need to prove anything to be worthy of peace. You only need to say yes. Yes to letting go. Yes to being seen without the story. Yes to the you that never needed defending. Yes to the divine flow that carries you now without needing you to steer. This is what it means to be whole. Not to be perfect, not to be certain, but to be empty enough to be filled with what's real. To live your life with open hands, open heart, open awareness. To allow each moment to be what it is, no longer filtered through memory, no longer distorted by projection. Just now, just this, just peace. Because when you drop the story, what remains is always peace. And when you stop repeating history, life begins again. You can hear the birds again. You can feel the breeze again. You can see the sky for the first time in years because your mind is no longer clouded by ghosts. This is what awakening is. This is what freedom is. It is not an escape from life. It is a return to it. A wholly grounded, embodied return to the miracle of being unburdened, unchained, untold. No more rehearsing. No more explaining. No more defending. Only living. Only breathing. Only shining. So let the past go. Let the story go. Let the identity built from pain fall apart like dust in sunlight. You will not miss it. You will not need it. What rises in its place is not a better version of you, but the real one. The one who never needed the story. The one who was never waiting to be healed. The one who has always been whole. Choose peace again and again. Let it become your home, your compass, your baseline. Let it be the place you return to, not when things are easy, but especially when they are not. Because peace is not the end of your journey. Peace is the path. Peace is the teacher. Peace is the light that was always within you, before the wound, before the narrative, before the noise. You were never your history. You were never your pain. You are now. You are free. And now that you remember, you will never forget again.